All right. Hello, Facebook world, YouTube world. Getting ready to do a live enlightened conversation. As soon as I share this to a few places. All right. Group. All right. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Yeah, I try to give everybody a chance to hear these live so that they don't have to wait till they come out a few weeks later. And then on Instagram, your handle is Galma. I'm gonna have you tell me your Instagram in 1 second. Okay. And where'd you go? Oh, we lost her. She'll be back. When you're not paying attention and you realize you lost your guest. All right, here we go. Jacob Gardner, what's going on, brother? All right, you're back. Okay, tell me what your Instagram is, your handle, so I could spell it out here. I'm on Instagram as well.
So it's GALMADANI, and then yoga, YOGA.
Okay. GA. Say it one more time.
So Gal, G.
Got it.
AL. And then Madani, MADANYOGA. Let me share it with you here.
Okay, got it.
Got it?
Yep. Cool. All right, let's do it. Hit record. Awesome. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Excited for today and have an awesome guest with us that is on the other side of the world. Well, I guess not technically all the way on the other side of the world, but she's far away. She's in Saudi Arabia and excited to speak with. You didn't tell me if I was pronouncing your name correctly. Is that how I say your name correct? I think so.
Not so much. So usually, because of the Arabic words has special sounds.
Okay.
So actually, the way my name is pronounced is Galia. So it's like GH Ga. It's like from the throat. But for non-Arabic speakers, I'm okay with Galia. That's fine. You did great.
So just leave the A. So Alia is more. If I leave the G off, it's more correct.
It's more like Galia.
That's gonna be hard. That's gonna be tough for
me. that needs an episode by itself.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to flow some energy with you today, and so just know every time I say her name, it's going to be mispronounced, but it's okay. You know I'm referring to this beautiful human here, but she is a meditation and a yoga teacher and a sound healer, and discovered her on Instagram just a couple of days ago, and I was on there. Actually, I don't know if I told you this, Galia. I was browsing around looking at different sound healers and. I was just inspired to connect with some of you guys, and all of a sudden you pop up, and I was like, she's doing awesome stuff and sharing love and light out there. And so asked her to have a fun conversation with me, and that's what we're going to do today. And so without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Galia, and if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all these good things.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to share my experience with you. So my name is Galia Almadani. I am based in Saudi Arabia, the capital city, Riyadh. And actually, my whole world is not all about yoga and meditation, but I work in one of the big 4 companies as a strategy manager. But I also do a lot of work in the holistic side of life. So I've been a yoga teacher for around 5.5 years now, and I have been introducing also sound meditations in my classes, and I'm a certified breathwork facilitator as well. And it has been an amazing journey, honestly, learning it and sharing it with people, not only in Saudi, but really going beyond Saudi Arabia.
I love it. That's the most awesome thing, in my opinion, about the internet is being able to, I mean, one, do what we're doing right here. Neither of us knew each other existed like 48 hours ago. And then now all of a sudden we're connecting here using this technology.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it's always interesting to hear those that are passionate about different things and helping people in different ways. Like you mentioned breath work, you mentioned sound healing, yoga, meditation, all very, very valuable like tools and things that for any of us to become aware of. And a lot of times people will discover one and just have their life completely transformed. How did your journey go? Because what I know about all of us, we all come into this life as these little unconditional loving little babies and just bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and we don't stay like that always. When we're kids, we start maybe comparing ourselves or wondering if we're enough or thinking that we're different from everybody. How did your journey go, and how did it lead to you discovering all these things that you're now helping other people discover?
Okay, so my story is I have to share it honestly. I'm passionate about every journey that I went through that made me who I am today, and that contributed to my learning. So maybe 7 years ago, I used to live in the States. I lived in San Diego. So the government here gives scholarships for certain students, and I got a scholarship to study abroad for my master's degree. So I moved to San Diego for 3 years and lived there. One of the most amazing experiences in my life. And back then in the States, I never knew, or not never knew, but I never really exposed myself to yoga or meditation or any of these, activities in this world. I was just really busy exploring, the city, exploring the neighbors' cities, and also getting the A's and the high grades in the university. And then I was at some point, because in our culture in Saudi Arabia, we not many of us leave their families' homes if they're not married. So I used to live back home in Saudi at my family's place. So when I lived in the States for my master's degree, I discovered a new way of living on my own. So when it was time to go back to to Saudi, because I graduated from my master's degree, I was like, no, I'm not coming back. I'm just comfortable, living on my own, and that's not something doable when I go back to Saudi Arabia. And I remember going back to Saudi, I was so furious and really upset of, going back to living back with my family and really living outside of my family's place was not an option if I'm not married. So it was really tough, to come back to a place where you left that you don't really feel like it's home anymore. And that really got to me so much that I caused many problems around me. And I figured that this needs to end because, choosing anger or choosing, problems or just inviting negative thoughts will not ever do me well. So I literally got like a sheet of paper and I asked myself, what are the things I could do here in Saudi that I can learn and discover more about myself? And I started to join running communities, rock climbing communities, yoga communities, just to really see where I can find home. And this is how my yoga journey started. So my yoga journey started when I was not really in a happy place, and I wasn't really, connected to myself. And the minute I started yoga, I became very committed, and I saw the impact of yoga and the practice and the meditation and breath work to my own self. And it felt like I literally entered the room and I got like reprogrammed, and I came back full of life and And that taught me that, you can never change your surroundings. All you could do is actually work on yourself and inspire others to change. But that lesson I didn't know back then, until I learned about yoga, and that this is how the whole journey started. And then slowly, I got more open to try new things, new experiences that is in this holistic, world, which is like sound meditation. And when I first tried it in Saudi, there were not many actually sound meditation facilitators in Saudi. Like 3 years ago, it never even existed. So there was just like this one lady who did that professionally, and I kept on, exploring and slowly experimenting till I made it a purpose for me to actually share all these experiences as tools to help people overcome their, difficulties.
Super interesting. You said so many interesting things right there. Starting with, you mentioned my second favorite city in the United States, San Diego. I went to college in San Diego way back when.
Which college?
San Diego State.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I studied in University of San Diego, USD.
Okay. I have friends there. What, if you don't mind me asking, what year were you there? We might have been there around the same time.
2012 until 2014.
Oh, I'm way older than you. No, I was there long before that. I left.
Beautiful place.
I left San Diego in 2008. Yeah, but I was just in LA. I just went up. I decided I was going to go act in LA. So another story.
But how did that turn out in the acting?
Well, so I always thought I was going to be a professional athlete. I was a baseball player.
Yeah.
So I was playing in college in San Diego, and then I injured myself, and I couldn't really play like I wanted to anymore. So in my mind at that time, kind of what you just mentioned a second ago, at that point in my life, I still thought that I could change like the outside world so that I could be happy on the inside, which I didn't realize was not possible. And that caused a lot of depression for me and just a lot of sad moments, because that's the only reason I went to go try to act, is because I said, well, I'm not going to be a professional athlete. What's the second like thing that I could be in the United States that's like same status, can make a lot of money? I was like, well, I'll just be an entertainer. So I wasn't passionate about it though, and I didn't understand how to manifest and do the things that I talk about now. So it's good that I didn't make it that route, because I wouldn't be creating any of the stuff. We probably wouldn't be having this conversation. There'd be no podcast or any of this stuff.
Of course, of course.
But you highlighted something so important for all of us to remember, as far as, 'cause we all have, moments in our life where maybe some might be experiencing one right now, where what we see around us, what's going on, is not, if we could snap our fingers and say, this is how I will want it to go. Like when you moved back to Saudi and you were living with your family, and you had just come from San Diego, you had all this freedom, and you weren't so excited right then and there as far as how everything was going. And you mentioned starting yoga and not being in the best place, but now looking back, we can see that you attracted that into your life to help you evolve. Because that's the thing for all of us, a great reminder. Like our souls always want to evolve, and so things will come into our path, like yoga for you, that can kind of, start allowing you to go in the direction that you've been going now, and, what we see you as today. And I love that reminder, because if we can kind of trust and realize, even if things right now aren't exactly how we think we want them to be, there's things happening that right now we can't see, we don't understand. We'll understand more clearly a few years from now. When we look back, we're like, wow, that came into my life, and now look at all of this that has happened, and all of these things. So I love
it's very important that we take ownership of our lives, because even your own parents might not be able to save you, and again, you never ever change the people around you, or change perceptions, or change behavior. It's really nothing. And then if you come, it's very important to know when you behave or when you talk, you come from a place of what? Is it a place of anger? Is it from a place of fear? And this would all reflect on the outside world. So that is my lesson. The lesson I learned from that specific transitioning from not aware to the aware person I am. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. For those of you guys listening live right now, whether you're here on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere, if you want to join us on Zoom, and for anybody that's on Zoom with us, you can ask questions in the chat box if you want to. I could even bring you on video at the end if you're feeling so bold to where you want to show your beautiful face to us. But you can join us by going to universalabundance.co/podcast. universalabundance.co/podcast, and you can join us if you want to. So I have a question for you now, because you mentioned the sound meditations, and this is actually how I discovered you as I was browsing around on Instagram, and it's a really fascinating part of the healing journey for many people. And when it comes to meditation, initially I was one of those people that thought I can't meditate, like I can't let my mind, like I'm not a meditator. It was like my story that I was sharing, and I just didn't see how I could sit still. And years ago, I attracted just the same thing. I attracted, because meditation has been such an important part of my journey and what people see from me today. If it weren't for my meditation journey, none of this stuff would be happening. Even the idea for this podcast came during meditation, and pretty much everything I'm creating now, the names of everything, like Enlightened Conversations, all this stuff, it all has come as downloads through meditation. But for me, it started as a series of guided meditations, which helped me kind of focus on something versus just allowing my mind to kind of dance around, which was challenging for me. But I've always been intrigued, and more so lately with the sound meditation. And I'm curious to hear about that a little bit. And are you using like sound bowls specifically? I think I saw that on your page. Or can you describe like how that works? And for anybody that might not be so familiar with sound meditation or sound healing?
Yeah, so the way it works generally, regardless of the specific instrument that we will be talking about it in a bit, how it works is that the human body is around 75-80% water. So, and these instruments are basically, they have certain settings, or they are, made in a way that when you play it, it produces high frequencies. And these frequencies, what they do is that they do vibrations of the liquids in your body. So all of this water in your body vibrates as a result of the frequencies that are being produced when I play that specific instrument. And some of the instruments I use, one of them is the gong. So it's like a round copper-made instrument, and there's certain ways and techniques of playing it. And usually, specifically the gong, not many people find that specific instrument soothing and relaxing, because the nature of the sound that it produces is very like profound. And for some people, I hear it a lot from my clients, and also I personally felt that with the gong, it's that it feels like the sound of the gong is a bit invading. So if you're like full of ego, or mostly ego, issues with ego can be dissolved when you do more sessions of gong. At least this is from my clients' feedback and my own experience. So that the gong is made to basically unlayer issues. So it's a very, very deep experience. If you have just like a gong experience, you would be at some point tackling and confronting your own darkness. And this is what I love about the gong. And then there's like the crystal bowls. Usually the crystal bowls, or the ones I use, are clear quartz. So it's real crystals. Usually they come in different sizes, and the frequencies that each instrument produces differ. So the size, the settings also matters when it comes to the type of sound you hear. And usually the crystal singing bowls, the nature of the sound is very like soothing, very, very relaxing. So if I do like a whole journey or a whole sound experience, not only one specific sound instrument, sometimes I would prefer starting with light instruments like the chimes, for example, or like a sound of birds, let's say, and then I go through the gong sound, and then cooling down, or grounding people with the crystal bowls. So there is no really specific structure in designing like a whole sound experience or a sound bath. It really varies and changes. Every session is a different sequence of instruments playing. Some sessions can have like a certain theme, maybe add some sounds like jungle sounds or bird sounds. It allows creativity from not only from the facilitator side, but also from the listener as well. So it's and also it's the important aspect when it comes to facilitating a sound experience is holding a space and setting an intention, allowing people to take some time to set an intention. And I personally prefer to always, explain what does intention mean, because some people just hear it a lot and they don't understand what that means or the power that intention can have to people's life. So I always try to educate my clients that it's not a one-man show. So it's not me. You come to my space and I just play the instrument and you're just the listener. So you are actually working with me by setting an intention and make it really personal to your own self. This way, as a facilitator, we allow space for healing, transformation. So it's not really just like playing or listening to tunes and melodies.
Absolutely. I love everything you just described right there. I'm going to share something, Galia, with the audience that'll be very valuable. And if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've heard me share this before. But when it comes to vibration and frequencies, and you actually shared something that I hadn't been voicing, but it's so interesting when you describe that how much of a percentage of our body is water, and how the frequencies are allowing us to tune in. I always look at all of us, because all of us are vibrational. Everybody, if you probably heard this before, like we're all energy, we're all vibration. And in 2020 and beyond, we're at a place in science where the vibration we're in this moment can actually be measured if you have the right tools. I've been to events where I've actually had the frequency from my brain, from my mind, like being measured, from my heart, like just the frequency of the room being measured. Like I've been to events like this now, which is pretty awesome where we are scientifically. So when we talk about frequencies and vibration, everybody out there, like can be like measured in the moment, and it's always in the moment because it's always moving. Yeah. And then when you get to experience something like Galia is just describing, where you're tuning into the frequency of high vibrational instruments and high vibrational sounds, like you can become a match to those frequencies, which she was just describing. And, in those moments, like if we're present, because that's the key, like when it comes to energy, like energy is never stagnant. It's always moving. Even if you were there with Galia and say you set an intention, but then you thought about what you had to do like later on that day, or what the hard time that you had earlier in the day, you're not going to get the same experience. And I think most people, that's what the beautiful thing about sound meditation is, most people allow themselves in those moments to be more present than they're normally used to being if they're not practiced at this. This used to be one of the biggest challenges for me, like being present, thinking about like the future a lot. It has become a strength of mine now. So when you are present and experiencing something like the sound meditation that Galia is describing, and you can tune into those frequencies and allow your frequency to raise, in those moments, like you're connected with whatever you want to believe out there, whatever you call it, God, universe, the divine, source, all that is, like you're so connected that you're just an open channel to where the ideas that can pop into your mind, like, are just awesome. Like the synchronicities that can happen, like these moments of life are beautiful. And you, of course, don't have to be inside of a sound meditation to experience these frequencies. We can experience them at any time. However, that's a beautiful and incredible tool to allow ourselves to. What I love about life, Galia, is once we've felt specific frequencies before, we can get back to them like much easier, especially if we start practicing allowing ourselves to get there. And it is so much fun when we're paying attention to it, and it matters to us to be, connected, to be in these awesome frequencies. Life is so much fun when we experience this way.
I always tell my students, or even it's a reminder for myself, that awareness is like a muscle. When you go to the gym and you build that muscle and you feel good and you look good, and then you stop, everything goes like back to, if not normal, could be worse. It's the same. So with sound, with breath work, with yoga, these are only tools, but you don't need to rely only on these tools. You can simply sit in a room, close your eyes, and listen to the sound of the breath, and start listening to the sounds in the room, starting from the closest sound, going to the furthest sound. So yes, the impact of these instruments are very powerful, but it's not the instrument it's not the instruments that do the job. It's actually a combination of both the receiver and the frequencies. So it gives us like power to ourselves. That I can be relaxed. I can have a clear mind. I can be creative. These are just like tools, but it needs practice. You cannot expect to have the same awareness or the same connection with your intention and with the universe and every time if you don't do it regularly. So it's like a muscle you have to always activate and stay connected with.
Absolutely. Such a good reminder. And for anybody out there that is inspired by this and inspired to continue, practicing, whether it be meditation or breath work or, whatever it is, it's a really great idea. And I firsthand can say that I've seen this part of life be something that I didn't think I could ever do. And it's turned into now, Galia, every morning on purpose, I have a meditation practice where my whole reason for doing it, and it's actually been fun for me lately to ask people why they meditate and why they practice, like what their reasons are. In fact, I want to ask you that before I share, because it's obviously we know it's important. But if somebody was to ask you, why do you do meditation or why do you do breath work? Like, why do you do these things? Like, what does it do for you? How would you describe that?
Meditation gives me wisdom. It gives me answers. It gives me space to speak, to feel, to feel alive. Because if I don't allow myself to meditate, even if it's my 6-minute morning practice in yoga, it's just like I'm getting myself in a loop, in another loop, in another loop of trying to find answers, trying to find meaning. Trying to find love. It's just meditation is everything. It gives you love from within. It gives you clarity, connection. But I'm also I have to say that I have my own days where I'm like I'm going crazy or like angry or sad or I have to say it, but it's a practice. It's a practice. Meditation is a practice, and I'm actually doing a live Instagram discussion with a meditation facilitator after tomorrow to discuss what happens to the brain when you meditate and the impact of meditation on mental health. So I'm passionate about this topic, and I would like to share and offer space not only for people, because people in the awareness world and consciousness world, like you and me and many other people probably hearing us now, they might find it easy, but some people, when you tell them meditation, they're like, what is meditation? Like, what is it? I don't get it. What is it? Is it closing the eyes? Is it breathing? But I keep on hearing thoughts. So it's like, man, meditation is just literally listening to the sound of your breath. We can do it right now, and you're there, and you can call yourself meditating. It's not really complicated.
I love that. Anytime we can give some encouragement because at one time meditation was new for all of us. Like nobody comes out of as little kids just meditating Maybe they do. Little kids are great teachers for us, so I have to watch some of them more closely. I don't have kids, so maybe they are. But I know that for most of us, meditation at one point was something that we weren't used to doing. And it does, it becomes a practice over the years. The whole reason why I do it, and Galia, you mentioned it throughout what you were just sharing, is to feel that connection with the divine, as for me, as early in the day as possible. So literally, I wake up, I get some water, I use the bathroom, and then I'll meditate. And it's not really a long practice. I don't time it out. For me, it's when I'm feeling in a frequency, since we've been talking about energy and frequency, when I'm feeling in one that I really enjoy, and it could be one at peace, where I just feel calm, where my body feels calm. But if it's one that I like, then I'm ready to start the day from there. And the reason why that's important for me, and really for any of us, is there's a big difference between that feeling, one where I'm like feeling in a good mood, like I'm ready to start the day, and when I start to feel like anxious or worried or upset, or there's just a big difference. And I'm not like making myself wrong for being any of those, but I notice it right away because I've already felt what it feels like to be connected. So once I feel those frequencies, I'm like, ooh, I don't really like that. I can notice it right, before momentum picks up. Because if we don't notice it, what ends up happening, say we're in a good mood or doing whatever, and then all of a sudden we're worried about, the state of the planet right now, or something that's going on in our personal lives. And we just keep thinking about that subject, and we're thinking about it. Momentum and energy will keep increasing to where if we're feeling bad because of it, we feel worse and worse and worse. And then it could be a rough day if we're not aware of it, if we're not noticing it. And so that's really what the biggest thing. And initially, like I mentioned, meditation started off as guided. I even started off doing like walking meditation sometimes. I got a guided meditation that I would do walking out on the beach. My eyes were open, but it was just like I was able to be totally present and just feel my energy. And that's always been the most important part of it for me, is like the awareness on my energy and what it's doing, and just knowing when I'm feeling good, and just being okay with that. Because here's a side note when it comes to energy for all of us: when we know we're in a good mood, or we feel we're connected, like we're at peace, whatever it is, we can trust all the thoughts that pop into our mind from those places. So like I call them like downloads from the universe. We can trust those because they're coming from that frequency. We're never going to have a angry or mean or depressed thought from a peaceful frequency or from a happy frequency.
Of course.
And vice versa. Like you're never going to be like, angry or depressed or like rageful, and then all of a sudden have the most like loving thought come through your mind and like be speaking loving words when you're like throwing something at someone. Like it doesn't work that way. So very simple, but just great to be aware of. And so that ability for us to trust ourselves when we know that we're, in those frequencies. And that's why I love the tools that you mentioned, everything that you're doing, because you're helping people discover those frequencies on purpose, consciously, so that if it becomes important, they can consciously do it, ongoing.
And also the impact of meditation on the quality of people's lives. So when you experience meditation, not necessarily in a dedicated time where you actually need to sit and close your eyes, you can practice meditation, as you just said, while walking. I sometimes practice meditation when I'm cooking, cutting the vegetables. I look at food as, whatever I see now is here to nurture me. I'm not eating to fill any void I have. So it really adds like a new perspective in life. So it's a lifestyle. It's not really, meditation is not only sitting and closing the eyes. It's a real lifestyle. But practicing meditation regularly, in my opinion, I think it's the best investment a person could do on themselves. Because when you practice meditation, whether through yoga, whether breath work, whether sound, you basically prepare your body for when you go through a traumatizing experience, the way you deal in that specific traumatizing experience, it prepares you for it. So you deal with it with wisdom, with calmness, instead of panicking or making wrong decisions. So it's an investment. You work hard, or you dedicate time for meditation, so that in hard times you gain that wisdom and strength.
Absolutely. I love that, what you just described. I'll share the reason why what Galia said is true. Because in the moments where, if you are practicing meditating or breathwork or any of these tools, to where you're practicing getting connected, when we're connected, again, call it whatever you want to call it, to nature, to God, to the universe, to all that is, to spirit.
Yes.
When you have a different point of view on the traumatic situations, the challenges that you're experiencing in life.
Yes.
You have a point of view from the divine. So you're going to be able to see it with compassion. You're going to be able to see it with love. You're going to be able to see it with optimism, or knowing that things are working out, even if we don't know all the specific details. Trust.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And when we're where we're not in that frequency, if we're viewing those same exact circumstances and situations from a frequency of where we're kind of feeling disconnected, where we're sad or we're angry or upset. Again, I'm not judging those frequencies. All I'm saying is that's the point of view that you have towards those life situations, and it's just rough. Like you're not going to get many solutions to life challenges from a frequency of angry or an upset. Like you're just going to get
Exactly.
more things to point out that you're blaming or to be upset about. And so it's just great to know the difference so that, like Galia said, if you're practiced, then you can, for me, I don't have conversations. I don't think about things in my life that are important to me, especially the conversation part. I like to make sure I share this. If I know that if I'm not in an energy where I'm at least at peace, I'm not having a conversation with you, because those are the conversations. If I'm calling someone up and I'm like frustrated or like upset, then
Yeah.
what are my thoughts and what are my words going to be? So there's a good chance that I'm going to have to make another call, later that day to apologize for what I just said in this conversation, because it's
Exactly.
just not. So if you know that beforehand, you could just say, okay, I'm not in a place where I really want to. I don't even really want to be talking to myself from this frequency of frustrated energy, because that's when we're asking ourselves, are we enough, or we're condemning ourselves, or all of these situations. So just great to be aware, and so that we can choose for ourselves. And it's an awesome conversation. I love
And
it.
it only takes like an open heart when it comes to meditation, because if you're not open, because meditation is not only relaxing and it does not only offer clarity, but it also sometimes could be confrontational. So if you're a person that do not like confrontations, or do not want to know, or you don't want to get to know your dark side, or the dark side of you, then you need to just stop for a minute and really understand why you feel this way, because it's important to talk and mention how impactful meditation is, but it's also nice to highlight what it takes. So you need to have an open heart, and you need to be welcoming to emotions, feelings, and what comes out of a meditation experience.
Mm. What you just mentioned there, it's the sole reason that I can live life the way that I'm describing and all the things that I'm sharing, because I had
Mm,
it took some courage, because again, you mentioned, like, if you don't want to see like the shadow parts of us, then I actually asked specifically to the universe to show me the parts of my life, the shadows, the blind spots, what I call them, that were affecting my energy on a daily basis. And then I just started paying attention, and I like had some downloads, but I really started watching myself, observing myself throughout the next few days after asking that in meditation a few days in a row. And I saw
mm,
myself being like really quick to be critical of just being critical. Like my mind works very fast when it comes to things to say, and so fast to where I'm happy that I don't let my mouth just run like quickly to where it's like things that I'm like verbally assaulting people. I've never been that
yeah,
way. But if it went there,
yeah,
like I'd be really quick to be able to, like, it could go there very quickly. So I noticed that about myself, and it stemmed from like childhood and being a competitive athlete, and we were always like at each other, like alpha males, just like
yeah.
talking. Um, but yeah, I had to ask to see these things, and then it mattered enough to me to where I wanted to actually start practicing observing it, and not saying, "Oh, Noel, you did it again," but just being able to notice it and actually be happy with myself for actually seeing it before it turned into hours or days of being critical of. And there's always things that we can be critical of, if we allow ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we can notice them early, it doesn't have to control our lives.
I always say with meditation, it can go as simple as making a person completely relaxed and have some clarity of mind, but it can go to like a transformational experience. Because I always like to mention this statement to welcome people regardless. If it's not really for the people who want to go deep, or want to explore, or want transition, because some people are like, okay, I'm happy, I'm okay, I don't need to go through deep any confrontational experience, but I can still experience meditation to have clarity of mind, to relax my nervous system, get that physical benefits as well. So it is really for everyone.
Absolutely. I love this so much. Is there anything that you want to share like that? Because I don't really guide these conversations. I let them flow wherever they want to flow, very unscripted, as you can see. But I always want to make sure that knowing that someone could watch this episode or listen to this episode 30 years from now, just the internet is going to be around
Mm-hmm.
still. Anything that you really want to flow out of you, that no matter when someone hear this, you feel will uplift them, and you've been doing it the whole time. But anything that wants to flow out of you.
Mm-hmm. We are all here together. We're all in this together. These circumstances will not be different later. The outside world will never be as the way we want it to be, really. Outside world could be your family circle, your friend circle, your city, your country, whatever that is. So the external world, if we worry that we want to change people, really like change and deal with that from a place of hate or anger, it doesn't work. So start from you. Start looking at the essence of you, and it's there, and it exists already. You have the wisdom, you have love. With these two, you have the whole world around you. You can only start by only you being aware, and then the surroundings will respond beautifully. That's all I can say. There's yoga, there's meditation, but if you don't have sound meditation, if you can't afford going to yoga or whatever that is, just really connect with your birthright, your breath. Just listen to the sound of your breath, and you got it. You got it.
I love it. I love it. So I love encouraging, anyone that listens to this, whether it's live right now or again, 30, 40 years from now, that the same energy that is flowing through Galia that you feel right now, that she shared, or through anyone that you look at and be like, wow, they have something, figured out, like the way that they're living. That's just a reflection of you. Like, we're all just mirrors for each other, and there's no like, only this type of human can allow their energy to flow. Like, that doesn't exist. We're all the just physical avatars is what we see, and we name them. Mine's named Noel, and I know I'm butchering Galia's name every time, saying it incorrectly, but
you're doing good. You're doing good. You gotta train a little bit, but you're doing fine.
Well, I'll let you train me on the proper way to say it for our next collaboration, which I'm already affirming that there will be more. But yeah, I'm rooting for everybody out there, because once we can get away from comparison and just be really excited that these new awarenesses, like, you probably have become aware of something new through this conversation, whatever it is. I know I have. There's been things that we've shared that are just really great reminders for all of us. It's just awesome, because life will be that way for us, can be that way for us consciously if we allow it to be. Whenever we need something else that will help us on our journey, like Galia mentioned when yoga came into her life and everything else, and I've mentioned several times through this episode, that's happening for all of us and will happen as long as we're here. And we don't have to figure out we don't have to be so rigid where it's like, I got to figure all this out. That's not ever how it works. Like, it typically.
No. Abundance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Abundance.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anything you want to tell the audience as far as like things that you have going on? You guys will definitely be able to connect easily with Galia here with her links there to Instagram.
Yes, please. I have my Instagram profile. You're more than welcome to follow me. Let's grow this community. Maybe collaborate, do wonderful work for the healing journey of us and the whole world. Let's do that. Yes, for sure.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I love it. Well,
in Arabic we say salam. Salam means peace.
Salam. Peace.
Salam.
Love it.
Yes.
I love it. Well, thank you guys out there for tuning in to another episode. Share this episode. It'll be super valuable for anybody that is attracted to listen. And if you guys are watching live right now, hit the share button. You guys can share it with your social media. I'm letting these go on here live, and then it'll be on iTunes in a couple of weeks, and Spotify and everywhere else. And just excited to keep co-creating with all of you guys out there. We're all in this together, and we live in a beautiful time here in 2020 and beyond, even though there may be challenging external circumstances. The only thing that any of us can ever control is what frequency, what energy, what vibration we're going to bring to this moment. And beyond that, nothing else really exists. And so control that. And then the ideas that are a match to the things that you desire for your own life, for your family's life, or humanity, they'll find you when you're in those frequencies. Where they won't find you is when you're a match to just being frustrated or blaming or worried. And again, nothing wrong with these frequencies. Just know that where the thoughts and ideas and the inspirations for what you want to see in your life and in the world, where they are, is what we've been describing in this episode, and beautiful tools to be able to help you get there, and to get there as much as you want at any time. So thank you, Galia, and thank you guys out there. We'll tune in with you guys soon for another episode. Have a beautiful day whenever you hear this.
Thank you. Namaste.
Awesome. Hold on, don't go yet. I'm gonna stop the stream. I'm gonna say bye to you.